Let me ask you something. How many times have you told yourself, I'll start when I feel ready? I'm just not motivated right now. Or worse, maybe I'm not cut out for this. You're not lazy. You're not broken. You've just been relying on something that was never meant to carry you long-term. Motivation. You see, motivation is a feeling, and feelings are unpredictable. Some days you'll feel fired up, other days you'll feel empty. And if your progress depends on how you feel, you'll always be stuck in the same place, starting and stopping over and over again. That's why successful people aren't driven by motivation. They're driven by discipline. Discipline doesn't ask how you feel. Discipline doesn't wait for the perfect moment. Discipline gets up, shows up, and never backs down. In this video, I'm not here to hype you up for 5 minutes and send you back to the same habits. I'm here to flip a switch in your mind, a switch that turns you from someone who waits into someone who executes. If you've ever been tired of quitting on yourself, if you felt stuck in a loop of motivation highs and crashing lows, if you're done making excuses and ready to take control of your life, then listen closely, because this isn't about motivation anymore. This is about who you choose to become. And once you master discipline, nothing will ever own you again. Not doubt, not fear, not even failure. Let's begin. The myth of motivation. Let's get one thing straight. Motivation is a myth, at least the way most people understand it. We've grown up hearing things like, stay motivated and you'll succeed. Find your passion and you'll never work a day in your life. But reality, it hits differently. Some mornings you'll wake up ready to conquer the world. Other mornings you'll wake up exhausted, overwhelmed, or completely disconnected from your goals. And in those moments, motivation vanishes. No music playlist, no quote on Instagram, no feel-good video can bring it back. Why? Because motivation is temporary, it's emotional, it's fleeting. Motivation is like a spark. It might start a fire, but it can't keep it burning. That's the problem. Too many people start things when they're excited. They launch goals with energy and inspiration, but as soon as life hits, as soon as it gets hard, uncomfortable, or boring, they stop. They say, I just don't feel motivated anymore. And that's where the cycle of inconsistency begins. You chase the next wave of motivation like a drug. Wait for the right mood. You rely on how you feel to determine how you act. But here's what high achievers already know. Motivation isn't what you need. What you need is discipline. Discipline is what takes over when motivation runs out. Discipline says, I made a decision and I'm going to honor it, even when I don't feel like it. Think about it. Do you feel motivated every time you brush your teeth? No, but you do it because it's part of your standard. The same principle applies to your goals, your fitness, your growth, your healing. Discipline is what separates those who wish from those who win. You don't need motivation to show up. You need a reason, a commitment, a standard. If you're constantly waiting to feel ready, you'll be waiting your whole life. Because motivation might get you started, but only discipline will carry you through. The myth of motivation has fooled so many people into thinking they're failures simply because they don't feel inspired all the time. But you're not broken. You're not lazy. You've just been relying on the wrong thing. So here's your wake-up call. Stop chasing motivation. Start building discipline. Because the life you want, the goals you dream about, they are not waiting for you to feel motivated. They're waiting for you to take action, especially when you don't want to. And that's what makes discipline powerful. It doesn't wait. It doesn't ask for permission. It moves forward regardless. So the next time you find yourself saying, I'm not motivated, flip the script. Say instead, I'm not motivated, but I'm committed. That's how you win. Discipline is a decision, not a feeling. Let's be clear. Discipline is not about how you feel. Discipline is not about waiting for the perfect moment. It's not about getting hyped up listening to a motivational speech or being in the right mood. Discipline is a decision. It's the conscious choice to do what needs to be done regardless of how you feel in the moment. We live in a world where feelings are king. If I feel tired, I won't go. If I feel stressed, I won't work. If I feel uninspired, I'll wait for motivation to return. But that mindset leads to inconsistency, and inconsistency kills dreams. The truth is, your emotions will betray you more often than they support you. Your feelings will tell you to stay in bed. If your feelings will convince you that rest is more important than responsibility, your feelings will always lean toward what's easy, comfortable, and safe. But your purpose, your goals, your destiny, they live on the other side of comfort. That's why discipline is so important. Because discipline overrides emotion. Discipline says, I don't care how I feel, I care what I committed to. Discipline says, I'm tired, but I still show up. Discipline says, even on my worst days, I remain consistent. Discipline is what keeps you moving when motivation disappears. It's the bridge between your goals and your results. Every time you act from discipline instead of emotion, you build a stronger version of yourself. You're training your mind to follow through. You're proving to yourself that you're reliable. You're becoming someone you can trust. And the beautiful part, discipline multiplies. The more you practice it, the easier it becomes to stay consistent. Small acts of discipline build into powerful habits. Those habits shape your identity. And once your identity shifts, you no longer have to force yourself, you simply live in alignment with who you've become. It starts small, making your bed in the morning, showing up to the gym, finishing the task even when it's boring, choosing the hard right over the easy wrong. Over time, those decisions compound. They create momentum. They create a foundation. They create results that motivation alone could never deliver. Because motivation is about feeling good now. Discipline is about being great later. So the next time your feelings try to take over, remind yourself, I've made a decision and I'm going to honor it, no matter how I feel today. This isn't about perfection, it's about direction. And discipline is the compass that keeps you on course. Feelings come and go, but discipline creates freedom. And freedom's worth the fight. Small habits, big impact. Discipline isn't about grand gestures. It's not about overhauling your entire life in one dramatic moment. Discipline is built through small, consistent actions. That's the part most people ignore. They think success requires massive changes and overwhelming intensity. They look at the top performers, the athletes, the creators, the business leaders, and assume they must be doing something huge and extraordinary every single day. But here's the truth. It's not what they do occasionally that makes them great. It's what they do consistently. They show up even when no one's watching. They repeat the same simple, sometimes boring, often thankless routines day after day because they know what most people forget. Small habits create big results over time. Think about it. Waking up early to read for 15 minutes each day doesn't feel like much. But in a year, there's nearly 100 books. Taking 30 minutes to exercise daily might not feel powerful today. But in 6 months, your body, your energy, your confidence, it all transforms. Spending 10 focused minutes on your goals instead of scrolling your phone might seem minor, but those moments compound into hours of productivity and progress. Discipline isn't loud. It's quiet, intentional, and powerful. It's choosing growth over comfort, repeatedly, until the results speak for themselves. And here's the key. Discipline doesn't ask, do I feel like it today? It says, this is who I am now. That identity shift is everything. Because once you start seeing yourself as a disciplined person, your actions follow. You no longer have to push yourself, you simply act in alignment with your standards. This is why small habits matter. They're not just about actions. They're about becoming someone new. If you've ever struggled with consistency, don't start by setting huge goals. Start by building small, manageable, repeatable habits. Wake up 15 minutes earlier. Drink more water. Write your goals down. Set your phone aside while you focus. Say no to what distracts you, even once. Those micro decisions seem tiny in the moment, but they rewire your brain. They tell your mind, I follow through now, I honor my word. Eventually you stop chasing motivation because your daily actions are powered by discipline, not emotion. And once discipline becomes part of who you are, your life begins to change in ways motivation alone could never achieve. So remember this. You don't need to do all today. You just need to start small. Start now and stay consistent. Because big impact isn't created in one moment. It's created over time. So thousands of small disciplined choices. Stop waiting, start acting. One of the greatest killers of dreams is the simple lie. I'll start when I feel ready. It sounds logical, it sounds reasonable, but it's a trap. Because the truth is, you'll rarely ever feel ready. There will always be something holding you back. Fear, doubt, anxiety, overthinking, fatigue. And if you wait for motivation to magically show up, you'll waste days, months, even years watching your potential sit there unused. Let me ask you something. How many times have you said, I'll start tomorrow, I'll try next week, I'm waiting for the right time? And how many of those moments turned into nothing? The problem isn't your goal. The problem is the delay, the hesitation, the waiting. You don't need more time. You need to take action with what you have right now. Because here's the truth. Action creates clarity. Action builds momentum. Action is what wakes up motivation, not the other way around. You don't wait to feel confident before you take action. You take action and confidence follows. You don't wait to feel ready before you begin. You begin. And readiness builds through repetition. This is where discipline becomes your secret weapon. Discipline doesn't wait. Discipline doesn't beg for inspiration. Discipline says, I act because it's who I am, not because I'm in the mood. And that shift changes everything. It turns a passive life into a purposeful one. It transforms delay into direction. It gives you back control. Stop waiting for signs. Stop waiting for circumstances to line up perfectly. Stop waiting for motivation to knock on your door, because success doesn't belong to the most inspired. It belongs to the most consistent. Every time you push past resistance, every time you choose to act instead of wait, you build the kind of mindset that wins long term. And even if your action is small, taking a walk, writing a paragraph, making one phone call, it's a signal to your brain that says, I'm no longer waiting, I'm creating. You don't need perfect conditions. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to move. Because once you start, momentum takes over. And momentum, that's more powerful than any motivational video or quote could ever be. So if you're sitting there thinking, I don't know where to begin, I don't feel motivated, I'm not ready yet, flip the switch. Say to yourself, I may not feel ready, but I'm ready enough to begin. And then begin. Because the future doesn't belong to those who wait. It belongs to those who move, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it's inconvenient, even when they're scared. Stop waiting, start acting, and let discipline lead the way, training the mind over time. Discipline is not just a habit. It's not just about waking up early or checking off tasks on a to-do list. Discipline is a form of mental training. And just like any muscle, the more you use it, the stronger it gets. But here's what you need to understand. It won't happen overnight. We live in a culture obsessed with instant results, instant success, instant gratification, instant everything. But discipline is different. Discipline demands repetition. It drives in consistency. It grows through pressure. Every time you choose discipline over comfort, you are training your mind. Every time you resist temptation, show up when you don't want to, follow through on your promise, you are shaping a stronger, sharper, more focused version of yourself. That version of you isn't moved by emotions. That version doesn't need motivation to act. That version has self-control. That version has grit. So your mind is like a battlefield. Every day, Your comfort zone will try to pull you back. Every day, distractions will try to seduce you. Every day, excuses will whisper things like, so skip it today. Yeah, it's not a big deal. You've earned a break. And that's exactly where discipline steps in. Discipline becomes the voice that says, boss, no, I have goals, I have standards. I'm not here to take the easy route, I'm here to grow. And the more you listen to that voice, the louder it gets. It becomes your default, your new identity, your inner standard. And the beautiful thing is discipline spreads. Once you develop discipline in one area of life, like fitness, study, or business, it naturally flows into others. You start eating better. You start thinking clearer. You stop tolerating mediocrity, not just from others, but from yourself. You realize you don't need to wait for the right mood or perfect energy anymore. You realize that doing the work even when it's hard is exactly what leads to freedom. Freedom from regret. Freedom from inconsistency. Freedom from the mental chaos that comes from not showing up for yourself. Because the more disciplined you become, the more peace you feel. Not because life gets easier, but because you get stronger. So keep showing up, even when it's boring, even when it's hard, even when no one is watching. That's when real growth happens, when nobody sees it, but you still choose to rise. That's when you stop being a prisoner to emotion and start becoming a master of your mindset. And the best part? One day, when others ask how you did it, you'll smile and say, I trained for this. So I didn't wait for the feeling. I built the discipline. This is how you win. Let's get brutally honest. Life isn't fair. Success isn't easy. And motivation alone won't save you. The world doesn't hand victories to the most talented. It rewards the most consistent. It favors the ones who stay the course long after others have quit. Truth no one wants to hear. Because we love the idea of motivation. It feels good. It's exciting. We crave the high, the adrenaline, the inspiration. But what happens when the high is gone? What happens on the days when you wake up exhausted, unmotivated, and uncertain? That's where discipline steps in. That's where winners are made. Because the ones who win in fitness, in business, in life, are the ones who've built their lives around discipline, not emotion. They don't rely on how they feel. They rely on what they've committed to. They've made a decision and they stick to it. That's the difference. Motivation is a spark. Discipline is the fire that keeps burning. Motivation is the idea, discipline is the execution. Motivation asks, do I feel like it? Discipline says, it doesn't matter, I'm doing it anyway. And that's how you win. Not by being in the mood, not by getting inspired every time you want to act, but by doing the work over and over, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. Look at anyone who has achieved greatness. You see discipline behind the scenes, long nights, early mornings, boring repetitions, quiet sacrifices. They didn't always want to do it, but they did it anyway. Because they weren't chasing comfort, they were chasing growth. You have to decide who you want to be. Someone who waits for life to feel good before taking action? Or someone who builds the kind of character that acts no matter what? You can't control your feelings. You can't control every circumstance. But you can control your response. You can control your consistency. You can control your discipline. That's how you become unstoppable. Because once you train yourself to act with discipline, you become a threat to everything that tries to hold you back. Excuses, distractions, self-doubt, fear. They can scream in your ear, but they can't stop you. You'll show up when you're tired. You focus when you're tempted. You move forward when the average person gives up. And people will wonder, what's your secret? The truth is, there is no secret. You just stopped depending on motivation and you started building discipline. So if you're ready to level up, if you're tired of starting and stopping, if you want to finally reach the goals you've been chasing, then stop looking for motivation. Look in the mirror. Decide who you are. Act like it every single day. That's how you win. See, let's bring it all home. You've heard the message, you've felt the truth in your bones. It's not motivation you've been missing, it's discipline. Motivation is fleeting, it's emotional, it's a spark. But that spark doesn't last. It burns hot for a moment and then it fades. And when it fades, that's when most people stop. That's when dreams die. That's when talent goes to waste. But not you. Not anymore. Because now you know better. Now you understand that what truly builds results, what builds greatness, is the quiet, steady force of discipline. Discipline doesn't scream. It doesn't make a plus. Doesn't wait for the weather to be perfect or for the mood to strike. It shows up every single day, even when it's hard, even when you're tired, even when nobody claps or notices. Discipline shows up because the mission matters more than the moment. And that's what separates winners from wishers. Every time you choose to do the hard thing, the boring thing, the thing you don't feel like doing, you are becoming unstoppable. You're building resilience. You are creating a life that is shaped not by chance, but by character. The discipline is what allows you to push when others pause. It's what keeps you focused when distractions scream for your attention. It's what makes you powerful even on your weakest days. And the best part? Discipline is not something you're born with, it's something you build. Brick by brick, choice by choice, day by day. You train it like a muscle. You strengthen it with every repetition. And over time it becomes who you are. You're no longer someone who tries. You're someone who executes. You're no longer someone who waits. You're someone who moves. You're no longer led by your feelings, you're led by your purpose. So if you take anything from this video, let it be this. Stop chasing motivation. Start developing discipline. Because a discipline will take you places motivation could never carry you. It will carry you through pain, through doubt, through setbacks, through silence. And it will deliver you into progress, purpose, and power. So the next time you hear yourself saying, I'm just not motivated, stop right there. Look yourself in the mirror and say, good, I don't need motivation. I've got discipline. Because that's the moment your life changes. That's the moment you stop waiting. That's the moment you take full control. You want freedom? Build discipline. You want results? Build discipline. You want to become unstoppable? Build discipline. It starts with one decision. Right now, this is your time. Don't wait. Don't wish. Discipline yourself and go get it.